Camera. Action.
Hope that's good enough. SUP The Dredge. Should you play the Dredge instead? Should you play the Dredge in Dead by Daylight? Well, let's get right into it, shall we? Well, for its design, well, it's an abomination of flesh and bones, and I don't know why that. It looks pretty weird, but pretty cool still. It is just a bunch of flesh and bones snipped off dead people and animals, I think, smooshed into a kind of a fog. It's some sort of endless void, I guess. I'm not sure. But I must admit, his head looks a bit weird. I don't know, it looks like a cockle. No, like a. You know what I mean? The animal. What's its name? Turkey. Like, it looks a bit like a turkey. Either way, besides that, it looks pretty cool. He has some sick skins. I'm not getting into that because there's many skins that I think are very cool. But still, I'm not always convinced about them. Yet, I think he has most of the coolest skins in the game, probably. Now, for his lore, I think it's just some sort of ancient god. The story, there was one story that they told us, I think it's just one of many for an example of what's going on. It's like some cult leader, but it's not a cult. It's a cult. And they convinced that they're supposed to be in a good place with good thoughts and everything's good and perfect and smiley and happy, but then bad things happen and people start disappearing and stuff. They're getting sacrificed, by the way. And the leader says it's because there's still bad people in here and he got rid of them, and then they all start getting paranoid and blame each other until they go to war with each other and just kill each other and brutally murder each other, while the leader is just happily watching because, you know, he planned this all along. And then the dredge comes out and starts feasting on all the dead bodies that are left behind and stuff like that. That's actually pretty much it, I think. So it's just a mass of agony and hatred and blood and I don't know what, just wanting people to murder each other, I guess, for food. Now it's chase music. The way chase music works is in 4 layers. The fourth layer, I think the first layer is the furthest away, it's 32 meters. The second layer is second furthest away, it's 16 meters. The third layer is 8 meters. The fourth layer is when he's in chase, when he's actually chasing you and is right behind you and you gotta run for your life and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be ranking each and every single layer separately, say my thoughts about them, you know, and then we'll come to a conclusion which layer is the best in my opinion. Now in the first layer there's definitely something going on. It's not your typical over in Dead by Daylight. There's a bit of chase music in the background because the killer is in a near distance. It's like, it does get you a little on edge, like, oh, something's a bit off. Oh, I love the second layer. Still that same, oh, something's off, with just a more intensity. Like just something, there's not just something off. Something is wrong and you know it. Like, you're not feeling safe right now. Even though it's probably still in a bit of a distance, you know you need to get out of there, but you don't know where to go. Those vibes am I getting right now. The third layer definitely gives something more of a cruel factor, like more of an extra scary factor. You've seen what it is that's haunting you right now, and you don't know what it is. Everything, it's just, you're still in an intense vibe, which I think is really nice for the first 3 layers to already have that, because usually that's not the case. They always kept a little bit of something from the previous layers, which I think is nice because sometimes that doesn't happen. It just feels like a completely different part of a song. Now the fourth layer keeps a little bit of the third layer, I think. It kind of feels like you lost the first 2 layers a bit. It's still intense and you just added more drumming, which does give it more the Dead by Daylight chase music vibes. I feel like it's kind of the same drumming in every song, but it's too much focused on that right now. I do feel like there's a lot of people just screaming in the void out of fear that's kind of going on, and I think that's pretty cool. But I feel like the drum chase music is a bit too intense to have that haunting you a little bit, so to say. Overall, his chase music is pretty cool. I did like the first, second, and third layer most. The fourth layer a bit less, but I still think it's pretty cool. But it could have been better, yeah, I think. I couldn't have done it better. It could have just been better. Whenever I say things could be better, I'm not the one making them better. I'm just gonna put that out there right now. Now his power. For his power, he can teleport to lockers. He can also get in a locker like a survivor can and just kind of hide there. The locker will start making noises and things to warn the survivors that you're in that locker if you stay in there for too long. When exiting a locker, it's also very abrupt, like BAM! So nearby survivors would definitely know. Survivors can also lock the lockers with a thing. So if you enter a locker and you need to get out, you're gonna be doing the little like a cat trying to go in or outside when it just already went in or outside, trying to go back to the other side for some reason until it breaks the lock, so they will be getting more time to escape you. Now, if you're charging this while outside of a locker, you also leave a remnant that you can teleport to. It's like some dark, shadowy crystal. You also get slowed down. The survivors will always know when you're using this power because your arm is going to be extending like that. I mean, if they have this information at least. If they don't, then well, they don't know. But so you can place a remnant on one side of a pallet and then trick them into going to the other side and then teleporting back and all kinds of mind games. But most of the time, if they know you're trying to do something like that, they'll just run away because they know you're also slowed down. So it's always a bit of a risky move to use that. Also, if you hooked survivors, nearby lockers will be blocked by the entity, so you can't just camp hooks with the teleportation thing if someone's on a hook. For the survivors locking the locker, if it's two lockers next to each other, it's always better to just lock one locker because it will always teleport to the one locker that is locked. Even if the other's open, it will always go to the locked one if you teleport towards it. The dredge can also break these locks if he sees them, so he can basic attack them to break the locks. So if you immediately do both locks, we can just break them both and they can never be locked again. So it's always better if there's two lockers next to each other, just lock one of them, and then when that one's broken at some point, you just lock the other one. There's also nightfall. After a certain amount of time, it will be nightfall where everything's super dark and there's no terror radius and anything, so it's really good for the dredge because he's able to see a lot more than the survivors. So it's very good for him to, you know, haunt the survivors while they're very paranoid, just running around in the dark, guessing where you are and what they're supposed to do and stuff. I think that's definitely the favorite time of the dredge. You can also teleport a lot faster during this, so you can get around the map a lot easier, which I think is also really good. Now, to play as the dredge, I think it's a lot of fun. What I also forgot to mention is that if there's someone inside a locker and you teleport towards that locker, or you're in that locker and they open the locker, you automatically grab them. So if someone's in a locker and you teleport to it, there will be an entire animation. It's really cool, and you automatically grab them out of the locker. And I think it's one of the funniest things you can do, but you know, usually people don't Usually people don't hide in lockers when you're playing the dredge, but you know, it's happened quite a bit to me that I'm playing as the dredge that I could grab a survivor in a locker or saw someone hide in a locker and then just teleport to that locker. I think that's one of the coolest things in the game. The animation is very satisfying and all of that. Anyways, playing as a dredge, I think it's a lot of fun. You have a lot of different ways to engage with the survivors. Playing against the dredge, you should be pretty knowledgeable against the dredge, you know what I think, with closing the lockers and the chases and knowing what the remnant does and how to trick the dredge into using its remnant if it's not a too smart dredge, all of that. Also, the nightfall makes it so much more a horror game, so it would make just a lot of sense for it to be in Dead by Daylight, so to say. So it's a lot scarier, it's a lot more intense. I think it's a lot of fun to play against the dredge. I also think it's a lot of fun playing as the dredge. So my overall thoughts, should you play him? Absolutely. I think you should definitely try him. You can buy him whenever you want. I think he's a lot of fun. I've heard that some people think he's not that good of a killer, which in certain maps it's true. If the locker placement is bad, you're pretty much screwed. But besides that, I still think he's a really cool killer and you should definitely buy him. Anyways, that was it. Subscribe for the next one. The next one's gonna be the artist, so definitely subscribe so you don't miss that. And if there's any other killers you want to see, then you have to subscribe because I will cover all of the killers. And make sure to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss your favorite killer or the one you don't have yet and maybe want to buy and still thinking about it. Anyways, bye, subscribe.